Domain research from DomainCrawler is a tool that allows users to conduct thorough research of domain names, discovering data for subsequent analysis. This data can be used in a number of ways, from fighting cyber criminals to creating effective marketing strategies. In this video, we'll make a short overview of the domain research tool and take a closer look at features available on its first page. In the search field, we enter the exact name of the domain that we're interested in. For example, twitter.com. Here, we can view all the information on this domain found in our database. In the top block, there is the domain name with active link. Below it, there is a block containing DNS data. Here, we can find the IP address, TXT records, information on name servers, NS, and mail MX servers. Also, other DNS records that are used less often, such as AAAA and CNAME. By default, the latest, most recent record is displayed. It is possible to click through records, viewing older records and identifying changes over time. By clicking on a record, we can filter all domains by the same variable. For example, research all domains that have the same IP address. If we do just that, we go to the advanced search screen in a new tab, where we can find all the information about domains on the same IP address. We will talk more about this screen in the next video. Let's go back to the main screen. Just like with an IP address, we can filter data by other variables. DNS information, specifically information on IP addresses, makes it possible to find websites that belong to one owner or interconnected websites. In case of using shared hosting, thousands of websites that belong to different owners can have the same IP address. Nevertheless, often sites that have the same IP address belong to one owner, especially if there are not many of them, as we see in the case of twitter.com, where there are only 9 domains on a single IP address. In the Mail Servers field, MX records, you can see via which service mail is sent at this domain. In our example, we see that Twitter uses Google as its mail server. Interesting data can often be found in TXT records. Let's pick another domain and look through the history. We can see that this domain uses Zendesk as customer service software. Also, it uses SendGrid for email sendouts and the like. We also see Google Site Verification, Atlassian Domain Verification, which means that this domain uses these services. The following block are the HTML tags. Here, we can find the content of the main tags from the main page of the site. More specifically, meta description and meta keywords. Meta description and meta keywords are used mainly for search engines. Meta description is the general description of the site. Meta keywords are keywords that are used to improve website search by search engines. Title is the text that appears in the browser tab. H1 text is usually the main title on a web page, the largest text. Link text. These are various links on the site, as links to CSS styles, JavaScript, and so on. Meta robots contains information for search crawlers. HTML lang, the language of the HTML page, in this case, is Swedish. Again, we can view the history of records. Meta description and meta keywords can be used to search sites that contain content that you're interested in. The next block is about SSL certificates, which are used to protect sites and encrypt data. When we see in the search bar of the browser not just HTTP, but HTTPS and the image of the lock, it means that the site uses SSL certificate. Here, you can see the date of issue of the certificate and the date of its expiration, the organization that issued it, and the company that received this certificate. Once again, as for all blocks on this page, you can view the history of records. Next block, robots.txt. Most sites have a robots.txt file that contains instructions for the spiders that crawl these sites. These rules prescribe where on the site this spider can go and where it is not allowed. Good spiders adhere to these rules. Naturally, you can view historical records. Next block is ads.txt. It's usually empty. Very few sites use it. But if the information is here, then it is most likely going to be associated with advertising. For instance, the ID information for advertising campaigns. The next block is humans.txt. As a rule, it contains information about the team that developed the website. This file is also rarely used. Next block is Program. Fields Google Analytics, Google Ads, Yandex. Accordingly, if the site has Google Analytics, its ID will be displayed here. If there is an ID for advertising on the site, it will be displayed in the Google Ads field. Same for Yandex. Twitter does not use these services. But if you take any ordinary site, then there will be information here. For example, the commixside.org site has Google Analytics and an ID for Google Ads. The last block is Apps. It shows the technologies that are used on this site, such as programming languages, frameworks, CMS, payment systems, and the like. Here we see that Twitter uses Node.js. Also, Squarespace as a CMS. Express as a framework. Of course, you can view the history and apply filters. We will talk about how to use apps to find the necessary sites in one of our next videos. For example, researching online shops, you can find sites that use certain e-commerce systems. So, summing up, the main page of our project displays all the information that is present in our database for any given domain.